you guys, I'm super excited for this video because it's gonna be like what influencers and brands need to know. I did do a whole video about disclosures, but I want this video to be more of a general aspect of what people should know, because obviously disclosures are their own thing. I'll link the video down below or up here, wherever it is, so you guys can go see it. But I definitely want this to be more general approach of like what you should know. So this is kind of general like tips of how to do things and just what to look for. So yeah, it's just gonna be very broad. For you guys that don't know me, I have been blogging on my website down below for over a few years now. I always forget the exact number. I always say 6 through 8 because that sounds about right. It's been years. That platform has always been my main platform. Everything else just kind of falls behind. So I have worked with a lot of brands. I have grown with the whole industry, I guess you can say. But I've also gone into marketing within the last few years. So I have both sides of like the table, I guess you can say. I have two wealths of knowledge. I know about the influencer side and I know about the business side or like brand side. So I definitely wanted to share some things that might be helpful for you guys. So let's get into it. So influencers, the lovely influencers. Obviously I'm an influencer. I work with brands still. I post a lot of content. I love it. It's so much fun. Like I just love more of the creative side of things. I love posting and connecting with other people. I love connecting with other bloggers. Seriously, like I've been on a mission to finding like similar bloggers in my area and it's been so much fun. So it's definitely like a fun thing. The first thing, I made a video about it, disclosures. I won't talk a lot about it. I'll link it so you guys can see it, but definitely disclose your posts. It's very, very important. It's not like a thing, like it's very important for you because you want to be on the legal side of things and don't want to get in trouble, so disclose, guys. But yeah, I won't say too much about that. Go watch the video that I made. So I guess my second tip or something I feel like I've also like thought about is long-term goals. Here's the thing, like social media is always changing. You guys know how like YouTube and Instagram are always changing something. There's always something going on, and it's very important to like know what your long-term goals. For example, one of the reasons that I put so much time into my blog site is for the fact that I own that. I pay for the domain, I pay for my hosting. That is my website. Whereas on Instagram, I have an account on their website, if that makes sense. So they can easily shut down tomorrow and that's it, you know? I follow a lot of YouTubers who used to be on Vine, and I know that they talk about this a lot, how like when Vine shut down, like they had to completely start from scratch on YouTube. So it's something that a lot of people should like take into account. What are your long-term goals? YouTube might not be forever. Instagram might not be forever. So something I do is that I try to build on all platforms. So I put my energy into every single platform. Especially recently. I used to not do that as much, but recently I'm definitely going full on all platforms. For this reason that like you just never know what might happen with any account. Instagram might shut down tomorrow. You just never know. It's better to have a long-term goals. That's also why I started my marketing agency, just because I do want that to be like a main focus of mine and to be able to have my own business in the long term. Like we've seen the rise of TikTok. Like I'm out of the TikTok age range. I'm not gonna be on TikTok at all. But that's like a new thing and people are getting like popular and getting money out of that. But that's kind of like where I'm going at. Like new things are gonna come and grow and get popular. Some things might go out of style. Like you just have to make sure what are your goals long term. Put your investments into other things. That's why you see a lot of big creators who like still do YouTube but then are venturing into other things like writing books or doing other stuff like that. Because it's a lot better to have a lot of avenues. So definitely think of things long term. And this kind of goes into my next point, Instagram. A lot of people focus way too much on Instagram and getting likes and followers on Instagram, but it's not everything. Like I said, put a lot of energy into a lot of different avenues. I know I did see a tweet. If I find it in my likes, I'll do a screenshot right here. But it's basically this marketer, she said that she hired a blogger because on her actual website she would get like over 17,000 views, but over on Instagram she only had 2,000 followers. But she said that she got her because again on her website she was getting so many views, but for her brand that was a lot more important because if she created a post on her blog, like she would get so many views. So she saw that and was like, hey, that's more important. And it's also so important to remember that Instagram isn't everything. I do feel like this goes for both, even the brands. There's a lot of brands who put way too much emphasis on just Instagram when people are creating a lot of good content on other areas. So definitely don't just think that's like the end all be all. It's a great tool, don't get me wrong. I love Instagram on my phone. Like that's definitely like the app I use the most, but don't think that's like it. Like there's people who create great content on like LinkedIn videos, which I learned about too, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. The whole community over there as well. Like it's not just like that's it. there's definitely a lot of different avenues you can focus on. Don't ask brands for free things. Like, products are money for these brands, and if they're handing out things for free, like, that hurts them as a business. Don't ask for free things just for the sake of wanting free things. If you want something from them, if it's a brand that you love, like, make sure to be like, hey, like, let's make a partnership out of this. Don't ask for things for free if you're not going to give anything in return. It costs brands money. It's not fair for them. So this also goes back to like sponsorships. Don't just do sponsorships for the money. That's just not good. I've actually turned down a sponsorship. A brand reached out to me, and it's a controversial brand here on YouTube. I know a lot of videos got made about them like a few months ago because of the way they treated people, and I didn't want to be associated with that, so I turned them down. I just said no because I was like, I don't want to be supporting a brand who mistreated people, so I said no. There's also brands that just don't fit me. I've had like dating apps reach out to me, and I'm like, I don't use dating apps, so I'm sorry. Like, they were super kind. Don't just take sponsorships because you want the money. Be credible to your audience. I feel like being honest is a whole point in itself. Definitely don't take sponsorships just because you want to get paid. People will be able to tell in the long run, especially if you're not using the item full on. People will know. I guess I will make that a point. Just be honest with your content in anywhere that you make it. I know there's always like those like articles of like a blogger photoshopped themselves doing this, or like, don't do things just for content sake if it's putting you in danger or just being dishonest. Like, what is that gonna do? There was an article of how like some people in Spain were going to like, it was like a lake that was just dangerous. I'll link it down below if I find the article, but like there was one person who was like, it's okay, I got sick, I did it for the Instagram. And I was like, you're sick now. No, don't do things just because you want likes or get engagement. Like, a lot of people just want to get popular, but you have to remember that like, if you're not consistent, like, people would always value honesty, and at the end of the day, like, that's more important. And just like, not even necessarily like as an influencer, but as a person, have integrity. So brands, if you guys are watching this, I know that like there's people with small businesses, and I feel like a lot of people with small businesses get targeted a lot too. So this is for you. Again, this goes to like the influencers asking for things. Like, if you're a brand and an influencer reaches out to you, you're allowed to ask them for their media kit and their stats and their analytics to know they're saying is like legit. Influencers, if you guys don't know what a media kit is, I know Canva has a lot of great free templates. It's basically a sheet. You describe who you are as a brand and all your stats. They'll be like, hey, I have 2,000 followers on Instagram and 2,000 here and blah blah blah. Basically just has your stats, and influencers is actually very handy to have. I know for me, like, I had brands reach out to me and they're like, hey, like, send me your media kit, and it's just super nice to have on hand because you can just send it out like, here's my media kit, check me out. I'll link Canva down below. It's a great tool, it's free. They're super great. They have a lot of templates, even for YouTube, Pinterest, all that stuff. It's just great to use all around. But yeah, brands, don't be afraid to ask influencers for that information. There's this thing called ROI, which stands for return on investment, and that's so important in marketing because you want to know that you're investing and getting something in return. So don't be afraid to ask influencers for that. Influencers, don't buy likes, don't buy followers, don't do that stuff. Like, that's just sketchy. I actually did want to do a whole video of like me trying out all these sketchy Instagram growth practices, and I just felt so icky. And it's actually funny because when I looked up like buy Instagram followers, there was like all these articles were like, don't buy them. I thought it was really funny because I was like, if you buy followers, there's so many signs out there that says not to do it, but you still went ahead and did it. Don't do that. Don't inflate your numbers. But again, like, that hurts the brand as well because they're not gonna get the actual engagement. You're just getting bots to follow you. They're not gonna engage with your content. I know before, engagement was like 10 to 20% of your following count is how many likes you should have gotten in an average photo. So that's something new to keep in mind. Brands, ask people for their analytics. Influencers, make sure you have those things on hand just so you know to give out. And don't forget, it's really easy to tell. You can go into someone's like followings and likes and see which is a legit follower or not. You're not really fooling anyone. So that's actually my next point. It's easy to look through followers. I feel like I still consider myself a pretty small creator. It's pretty easy to go through my followers and see who's following me, and it's pretty easy to tell like who's fake and who's like legit, especially like on likes. Like, don't buy likes. I remember seeing someone with like 600 followers get 1,000 likes in all of their pictures, which is more than 100% engagement. That's just completely fake. I went through the likes too, and it was like all these like foreign accounts or like accounts with like nothing. So you can tell they bought their like. No one gets 100% engagement in any photo. A lot of the people who are consistent on my channel, I generally become friends with. One of them is Martha. She has a great channel. I'll link her channel down below. She's the sweetest person. I know that she's always a consistent person on my channel, and I can still get so excited when she like comments because I'm I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're watching my stuff. So much better to be genuine with building a community, because those are the people that are going to support you in the long run. Otherwise, you're fooling yourself and then you're fooling the brand, and that's not good. Brands, this one's for you. No one's gonna work for free. Making content takes time and energy, and it's just a lot. Like, brands, don't think influencers are going to work for free. I know smaller ones will work for free just because they don't know and they're just so excited that a brand's reaching out to them. One, that's just messed up. Don't deceive smaller creators. Sponsorships should be paid. It's time and energy. Like, otherwise they're getting free advertisement, and that's not good. People put their energy into their content, so pay them. Also, deadlines. I've had crazy deadlines for some sponsored posts. Make sure you give people proper times to use the items that you're sending. I actually had a really good experience with a current beauty brand that I'm working with, where they are actually giving me the time for me to post for their thing is actually a few months away, for the fact that they actually want me to use the product, see how it actually works for me, and give them feedback, and then eventually give my actual response. And I love that. Like, that's perfect, because I actually want to know how it looks on my skin, how it feels on my skin, how it works out, and that's like perfect. I've had brands who are like, hey, work with us and then give us content by the end of the week, and it's something that I need to try, and I'm just like, no, like that's not gonna work out. Deadlines are hard. I have a full-time job, so whenever I have a brand who's like, hey, submit this in a few days, I'm most likely to say no, regardless if I love the brand, just because I can't physically do that. Especially if I have to go out and buy the item, set up so much stuff. Especially if it's an item that I have to like try, that's not logical. So make sure not give people crazy deadlines. Okay, so this goes for both influencers and brands. Research. Like, again, I'm coming from the marketing perspective. I know there's a lot of brands who just want to reach out to really popular influencers and want to work with them. At the end of the day, you need to know their audience. Just because they have a lot of following does not mean that they'll engage with your items, and vice versa. Influencers, research the brands you're working with. So brands, don't just pick like a big influencer. I know there was once that I was following like a movie review blog site, and it was a blog, like a regular blog. She was just posting reviews about movies, and out of nowhere she like put a sponsored post that had nothing to do with her content, and it was like an item. It was a normal item, like it wasn't anything crazy, but it was just did not fit her brand, and it just felt so weird and out of place. And I think the brand also put like their own specifications. The specifications it gave her no room to tie it back to her brand, so it's just like so weird. This is just her brand. It's like, just because someone has a lot of followers does not mean they're gonna get you your return on investment. You guys have to know, like, to reach out to brands that have similar audiences that you're trying to target. Like, if you want to reach like a younger adult crowd, reach out to like young adult influencers that have similar lifestyles. Something I learned from the LaterCon online like conference, one of the girls was saying that they worked with like a travel brand and they were trying to reach out to influencers, but she was saying how it was so important for them to reach out to like travel bloggers, because they knew that people following them were interested in travel. And influencers, research brands. I feel like a lot of influencers get in trouble, especially on here on YouTube, because they're partnering up with really sketchy brands who are in the end like sending sketchy items to people, or not sending items at all. Like, the brand is not what they said they were. Research the brand. I know for me, I always see like a lot of influencers who partner up with a lot of fast fashion clothing stores, which is a whole topic on itself. But then they're like preaching about like sustainability and all that stuff, and like buying metal straws, and it's kind of like, yeah, you're partnering up with a brand who fast fashion clothing hurts the environment, and then the whole labor aspect of it. Like, you guys should research who you're really working with. I will admit, I failed with this in the past. Like, it's not something that I'm like, I'm perfect. Like, I've done this in the past. There's some brands that I'm like, why I shouldn't have said yes. I don't know fully about them. Research who you're working with and make sure that it fits your brand. Like, don't just pick a brand just because you want the brand deal, when in return, like, it doesn't fit who you are as a person. Because again, like, for influencers, we as people, that's our brand. Who we are is kind of what we put out there. So like, if you're picking a brand that doesn't fit your style or like your audience, it's gonna look bad in return. So make sure you're researching who you're working with, pick the right people to work with. So this is a little thing for businesses that influencers, obviously, like, they're not like the craziest things, but definitely things you should look into. It's basically kind of like staying honest. If you make mistakes, own up to them. Like, don't hide away from them. Make sure to research what you're doing. I feel like, again, this is like a very big platform, so just be honest with what you're doing, build a genuine community, and you should be fine. It's definitely a very growing industry, so there's a lot happening, there's a lot of changes. Different platforms get popular, so it's definitely a very interesting place to be. If you guys have any tips on like being an influencer, I would love to hear them. Leave them down below. Like I said, I have years of experience, and now I'm working with brands on the marketing side, so I have like two sides of like knowledge. Influencers, like, don't just do things to get money. I feel like I've said this this in every point as well, and take care of your money. I still have student loans, so like whenever I get like sponsorship stuff, it all goes into that, and then I save some of it. I love my Saint Laurent. That is my dream, to be able to go into Saint Laurent and buy a lot of things. But I'm gonna be honest and like wise and just save my money, put it into the things that it's obviously like a side income because I still have a full-time job, so I put all that stuff into my loans so I can pay those off. I know there's a lot of influencers who sell that whole rich vibes and like all their content's just about being rich. At the end of the day, that's like really sad. I'm gonna be honest. One, your content shouldn't be all about being rich. There's no substance in that. But being an influencer, like you have the responsibility of talking to people and like leaving an impression on them. So make sure to give them a good impression and like be an honest influencer and share positive things that actually help people. People are giving you their time and energy watching your content, looking at your content, all that stuff. So be a good influence to them. So don't just do things because you want money. These were just like some things I want to say they're tips, but definitely some things to think about as like an influencer and then from the brand perspective. Because I'm an influencer and now I'm working marketing side with brands. So it's definitely the two sides of the coin, I guess you want to say, that's going on. So definitely leave some things down below regarding influencers, stuff that you have experienced as an influencer that you think other people should know. And if you're not an influencer, let me know down below like what you think about influencers. Honestly, I know there's people who hate influencers because they just think they're like the worst, but there's a lot of people who like genuinely follow them. I know I follow a YouTube account and she had a cool backpack, and I'm not gonna lie, I bought the backpack because of how cool it looked. Honestly, influencer marketing works, but just be honest. If you're like just like a regular viewer, like let me know what you think of influencers and what you wish influencers knew from an audience perspective. Let's just talk all about that. Influencers, what you guys think other people should know, what you're going through as an influencer. If you're not an influencer, like let me know your thoughts on influencers and all that stuff. Let's just talk. This is just a video of like talking about those things and just making sure we're thinking about these things. Since we're putting this stuff on the internet, it's very important. The internet's forever. Once we post something, it's gonna be on the internet forever. So we need to be wise as influencers, as people, and making sure we're using our platform honestly. I hope this kind of gets us thinking about things. It's honestly something I'm also trying to put into practice because I know I'm not perfect. I'm just trying to grow and making sure that like I'm an honest person on this platform. I'm grateful that anyone even watches me, and I want to just be a good, responsible person. So I hope this video helped out. You know, any thoughts down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!